Hello, SimTheWorld here. We are back with Car Mechanic Simulator 2018. This is the car restoration series, so we're kind of taking a look at the junk cars in this barn here, looking for something cool to work with. But it looks like... Ooh, what is this? We got ourselves a Maserati Sebring. So, normally this isn't a super special, unique engine. But I don't know about you guys, but I've been talking a lot about doing something with a inline six. I like working with them, so... And look at that, the price is right. The value of the car is $37,000 as it sits. We can get it for $28,000. Looks like that's what we're buying. I'll meet you guys back at the garage with this, and we'll head on over. It actually looks a lot better now that we're out of the barn. I didn't realize it had color on it. Would you look at that? The outside looks in fantastic shape. Yeah, the frame's in good shape. The interior is pretty clean. The only thing we're missing is some body parts, and it really needs a new engine. So, you know how this goes. I think we're going to get this over on the lifter. We'll take off the body parts first. Let's do that first. It's a little easier to do it here than on the lifter. Try to get a door out, and those poles are definitely in the way. But yeah, this is a really good looking car. I'm excited to get through this. I know this is one of the older DLCs, so it might not be as new as you're hoping to see, but at the same time, so many of these DLCs, they've not come out with anything new in quite some time. So we're kind of limited to working with what we got here, which is okay. They have included a lot of cars in these games at this point. With the addition of mods, of course, you can do all sorts of things. But I think for us, I'm going to quit talking, and we're going to get underneath this car and rip out the suspension, and we'll go from there. And we're beasting that engine block out of the car. It seems like everything should be removed. Yep, we got 1% down on everything. The body of the car is actually worth $6-7 grand, so that's kind of nice. What I'd like to do is this is one of my favorite parts. Of course, the car is in such good shape, you're not going to tell much of a difference. It's just going to get it to the 100%. There's a little rust marks here and there that disappeared, but it's not as much of an overhaul as we're used to seeing. So now we got 200%, so we're halfway home. That increased it, a decent amount. We could sell the car now, but obviously we want to get an engine in it. So I'm going to head to the repair bench and try to salvage what we can, and we'll come back when some of this work is done. We're back with the car. As you can see, I took care of the full suspension. There's only so many times you guys want to see me do the suspension in this game. But of course, if you're new, we'll sneak that in here and there. It's always fun to play around with. I don't want to dog on it too much. Let's get the body put back on this car. There's quite a bit of glass in this car. I didn't realize that when we first started. But boy, there's a lot to do. Everything went pretty easily. Of course, for license plates, I should mention, I imagine I'd see a Maserati Sebring in Great Britain, so that's why we're going with the license plate as such. I'm sure you're wondering, most of these parts we actually were able to repair. I just bought all new ones to make it simpler for me, so I don't have to remember what we have and what we don't. By repairing to full condition, we'll still make extra money on selling those anyhow. So with the body all put together, I think we're set to go. Let's take a look, and while that resets, I'm going to grab the battery off of here. We can pop open under the hood. There's always work to be done here. Hopefully the manifold down here, or the front exhaust section, won't be an issue when we're putting the engine in, because of course we're going to do all the work on the outside and then drop the engine in place, which is why I've got the engine stand over here. Go ahead and rotate this. I like to rotate it so the pistons are facing this way, and we'll jump in and start building. So of course I'm trying to get tuning parts wherever we can, get as much performance as possible, and of course doing that is not the right way to do that. Sometimes I'd like the better parts to show up first, but it depends how you purchase them. Go ahead, and I'm not going to take you guys all the way through the whole engine. I'm going to do some cutscenes here and there, but we'll get some of, as much as we can put in place. I want to say that this engine has been such a blast to work with. I love the inline six design. Of course, you don't see that very often anymore in cars. It's big. It's not as efficient as, say, the V8 design with pistons on either side. But something like this just looks... I guess I'm kind of a sucker for the unsymmetrical design of it, where you've got the carburetors on one side and the exhaust spitting out the other. It's simple, it's fun, it's elegant. Yeah, I want to work more with these engines, but there's only so many that we actually have in the game. And the DLCs, of course, have a lot more unique engines, which I'm looking forward to jumping in. So if you guys have any suggestions, any cars you'd like to see featured in the series, let me know down in the comments below. Normally I try to stick to modded cars from the Steam Workshop, but there's not always anything new. And I don't want to be just repurposing other people's work that has been sitting out there forever and a half in the workshop. Kind of want to feature the new stuff that people are putting out. They're still getting excited about and playing through. So that's not always available. Let's get the engine head on. We'll do the tuning parts again. It's nice to see when they are here. Get that extra boost out of these. Oh, we got some carburetors. I'll have to pick those up. And this is about where I think I tried to remember as many parts as I could, but there's so many in here, it's hard to catch them all, if you will. But just like the Pokemon, we are going to run away successfully, and we'll come back with more of this complete. I ran to the store. I think we've got the rest of the parts to finish up this order. There's always so much here to do. But again, that's what makes this interesting. Keeps it unique. Actually, I think we gotta get the... Oh, we do have one. I don't remember picking that up. And of course, somehow we'll sneak on this belt with the fan in place. I think we're actually able to do that without an issue. Let's get the engine head covers back on. We'll get the carburetors on. Maybe there's a fuel filter that we have to, or a fuel rail that we'll have to pick up. But otherwise, that shouldn't be a big deal. Oh, you know what? I think that's looking pretty damn good. We're moving right along. These carburetors are going to push so much power. They're each 7%. It's going to really, really impact our dyno score when we run that over. Let's get the air filter on, and we're going to find out if I can take this engine and drop it right in place with everything where it's at. I don't think I want to put the manifold on quite yet. So let's pull the engine out. And we're going to have to get the engine crane over, that's okay. This is where a second... Oh, maybe we'll take the hood off first. Try to sneak that through. And yeah, we do have to have the front exhaust section off, so we'll come back when this car is taken care of, fully running and painted. That way we can get the dyno numbers and wrap this episode up. We are running the dyno numbers. Of course, the factory engine power is 275 horsepower. Let's see what all these tuning components does for it. And we've got an 80% boost and almost 500 horsepower out of this. That's pretty damn good. Let's run the car back over to the front of the shop and wrap up this episode. As you probably could have told, I went with a nice gray color. Went with the factory default had it was a very light gray color with a little yellow undertone. I switched to a cooler undertone, a little more blue, and I think it looks pretty good. Although, as much complaining as I do about white cars, Sebring's probably one I can see being white. Now that might not be because well, when I think of Great Britain there, I think of kind of plainness, but I do think of the regal of the Maserati and the clean aesthetic, but simple. So that's why I think white would look good too. You can see I wanted to take a look at the engine now that it's fully finished and in the car. I love that little offset. I love the, unsymmetric look, but yet, a very clean flow to the engine. I just think this DLC was fantastically completed, and this is a car for our collection that I'm really going to enjoy. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode too. Let me know down in the comments below if you want to see anything in future episodes, anything that's specific, any little modifications to cars perhaps I'll take a look at too, though we're not a full modder here. But with that, thanks for watching as I simulate my life one game at a time. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any of the future action. You can follow on Twitter for updates of future games being played, as well as follow on Twitch, as I'll occasionally stream live. Thanks, and I'll see you next time at SimTheWorld.